Okay, so we're here at Swifty's. I'm with Eric, and we're at the counter. And first thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about the importance of proper mounting and balancing of a tire, and why you should bring it to a shop to have that work done. So Eric, if you could just tell us a little bit about it, a lot about it. I mean, just all the information somebody might need as to why they should bring their tire into a shop to have the work done.
Well, first off, before you bring a tire to the shop, one thing I'd like to mention is that, we want to make sure that you get the right tire so you can have the best mileage and the best load handling and, the best riding experience. So if you have difficulty trying to find the right tire or you're not sure, if you use your local shop and their knowledge, then you can get the right tire to begin with. So one thing that we notice a lot is people will bring us tire, get off the internet or something, and it was a great price, but then when they bring it to us, it may not be the correct load rating. So, a lot of those lighter tires are cheaper, but it may not necessarily be the right tire for the ride.
So we're back here with Jeremy and Eric, getting ready to take the tire off the rim.
But there's a couple things in the mounting process, like whenever you're taking the tire off the wheel, you want to be careful. We've seen people try to break the bead with driving a truck over the top of the tire to break it. It's obviously not very safe. And then of course you can always damage the wheel or bend the wheel. So proper way, you'll see here in a moment, to use a bead breaker here.
Well, I've seen some people, I've seen them at the bike shops, you can get a bead breaker you hit with a hammer.
Yeah.
You put it in there, and I think that you could really do some damage pretty quick using one of those.
Yeah, one of the issues with that, who cares if you're going to damage the old tire? That's not a big deal. But the problem is that people will damage the inner part of the wheel, and then especially in a tubeless situation, if you damage the surface of the inner part of the wheel, then your tire won't seat to the tire or to the wheel, and then you're gonna have a spot for air to leak out of.
Yep.
So.
There you go.
As far as the tube goes, that tube's been in that old tire for no telling how long, and it may be good today and holding air, but is it going to last all the way through that next tire? One thing that happens is you can actually pinch the tube when that comes in, so that's one of the reasons why we always recommend that you use a brand new tube whenever you're mounting a wheel.
That'd be pretty hard to do at home and get that done properly.
There's quite a bit of pressure on there. So.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
And you don't want to get your finger in there.
Yeah,
Trust
no
me.
doubt.
Trust me. I'm just kidding. So, he's breaking it all the way around, so we can make sure we get the inner part of the bead in the well of the rim.
Right.
We don't want to damage the wheel taking the old tire off.
Now the clamps, what's it actually clamped onto under there? Oh, I see. Okay.
It's a polyethylene plastic clamp.
Yep.
That way you don't scratch any wheels. It's, I believe, about 60 pounds of force on each one, which sounds like a lot, but it's really not too bad. Obviously, you can't have it so strong that it would actually bend the lips of the rim.
It's not going to bend it.
Yeah, it's usually from potholes and so on and so forth. Get that up there, and then take the tube out. That tube's been in there for probably 15,000 miles, I would imagine. So
Yeah, that one's about 15,000.
Yeah, just because
Yep.
they're holding air doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to be the best thing for another 15,000 miles.
See, okay?
And there we have it.
Jeremy got it off the rim without any damage, and I think that'd be pretty hard to do at home without maybe messing up a bearing or a disc rotor.
Yeah, we've had that happen before, where people, put the wheel on the ground and they have to flip it over, and then the next thing you know, they're putting a lot of pressure on the wheel, and then you bend your disc because it's on the ground. I think the rim bend is kind of subject to the way it looks, and if it's in good shape and still has some elasticity on it, and it'll stay in place where it needs to, we'll reuse those as necessary. They are cheap though; they're $1.99 or $2.99, depending on the size.
Might as well just do it.
Yeah, you can.
Okay.
And it's safe insurance on that. So we'll replace this rim strip. The rim strip will basically protect your tube from the spoke nipples, and sometimes you'll see some spokes protruding from the the end there, which will actually, you know, damage the tube. So you want to make sure that that thing's in good shape.
How far is it acceptable for a spoke to penetrate through?
Technically, it really shouldn't. You know, if it has the right spokes and the wheel's true, you know, properly and everything, they really shouldn't. Anytime that I see anything that, you know, like maybe a spoke stretches a little bit, or it's manufacturing issue or whatever, we want to make sure we use like a Dremel tool to grind those off to make sure that they don't eventually protrude through the rim strip itself. So.
Right, and then puncture a tube.
Yeah.
Now, something else I've also seen, and this is a big thing on the internet, is people that are mounting their own tires, they use that zip tie. They'll put the tire, zip ties around the rim and the tire, and they'll zip tie it tight, and they'll put it on, and they'll kind of like set the bead.
Yeah.
What, feelings on that one?
Well, in a pinch, I've done some pretty crazy stuff, you know, racing and everything. You know, you're out the track or whatever, and you got to get things done, or you're on the side of the road. You know, the bead is something that's super, I don't know if the best word is delicate, you know. It's a very fine surface on there that needs to match up with the rim so it's sealed properly and stuff, you know. In a tube tire, it's a little different, but, you know, especially on tubeless, I think it's important to be very careful with the bead, you know, because you don't want to lose air, you know, obviously. And then, you know, people want to start to introduce sealants and all that stuff to make up for it. And it's, yeah, if it's properly mounted, you shouldn't have any issues with it.
Now, we were talking earlier about there's a rotation, a front rotation mark.
Got your arrow there.
In that direction. Yep. So we want to make sure that the tire is going the right direction, and you see the tread is designed to shed water away. And some brands of tires, the tread will look completely different than others. So you want to make sure you go off the arrow and not the actual look of the tread. So,
Okay.
Yep. And this is called the duckbill. It's a shoe that actually shoes the tire onto the wheel. Some wheels are pretty aggressive. They have that metal lip on the edge of the rim, and it can actually damage the bead. So the actual part that's the duckbill actually shoes the tire over it, and it's a nice smooth polished surface. So this is what's doing the work. Incoming. Go with the fresh tube. We have a special tool here. It helps hold the bead back. One thing super important too is that there are some wheels that use certain tubes, like a rubber valve stem, a metal valve stem, and then there's also offset metal valve stems. So you want to make sure that you get the right tube too. You know, we have a lot of people bring us tubes that are, you know, incorrect fitment, and then they're kind of stuck with the tube that doesn't work. You know, so we want to make sure that, you know, we put the right stuff in there.
Another good reason to buy from your shop, your local shop.
As you can see, he's lining up this yellow balance dot with the valve stem. This is going to be the lightest part of the tire, set with the heaviest part of the wheel, which is where the valve stem is.
Okay.
So you want to make sure that that's lined up there. There are some tires that don't have balance dots on them.
What's the blue stuff?
There he goes.
The blue coating on there is actually soap based. It's pretty cool. Basically it protects the white wall from any type of you know, marring and everything while it's in the shipment process. But then since it's soap based, all you have to do is use a nice little scrubby, and as soon as you get that wet, it makes its own soap and cleans itself. So it's pretty cool. Some manufacturers' blue is a little easier to remove than others. We suggest that you leave it on there until you get on the bikes, because when you're, you know, touching the tire and, you know, working it up into the bike, you're gonna get those white walls all greasy and nasty. But if you get grease on the blue, it'll just wash itself off. So you get on the bike and spin it and clean it.
Now, what about on the balancing? I've had a lot of people talk about balancing. Balancing beads is something that's out there. It's a real thing. I get people that love them. I get people that don't know about them. What do you think about balancing beads?
Well, the tire manufacturers don't suggest that you put anything inside the tire other than just atmospheric air or nitrogen. The reason why is because they can't really control what people put in there. They can put balancing beads or BBs or no telling what they're going to put in there. So it's it can void your warranty, so you might want to check with the tire manufacturer, make sure that balancing beads are okay, or certain brands of balancing beads are okay.
Okay.
My personal opinion, I kind of like the traditional style of balancing, just because of the fact that the manufacturers of these motorcycles, you know, Harley or Honda or whatever, instead of, I mean, if it was that great, then it would probably come that way.
Right.
So, you know, most of the manufacturers are still using the conventional balancing methods.
Now, again, this is one of the reasons I wanted to show this, is because you can't do this at home. You're not going to be able to balance a wheel properly at home. You're not going to have the electronics that are going to tell you how much weight and where the weight needs to be applied. So that's one of the reasons I'm putting this together, is just informative for you guys to make the correct decision to take the wheel into a shop and have it done.
All right, so I'd like to thank Eric at Swifty's for going through the procedures and showing us the importance of proper mounting and balancing of a tire on your motorcycle. And I also want to stress and encourage you to support your local independent motorcycle shop. So ride strong, rich proud.